storyline.
Okay.
Not your mic.
Okay. I can't do it. I can't do it. Or you can't do it either. You sound like you're bringing up phlegm.
I knew you were going to say that. I actually thought I did it well before, and now we're going to say I never knew that I could actually do it.
Well, I'm here to tell you that you can't. You can't. I'm afraid, Ree. No, that wasn't it. No, you just sound like you're coughing up a fur ball. Greetings, EastEnders fans. Welcome to another episode of Albert Square After Dark, your weekly EastEnders podcast. This week discussing the episodes broadcast between the 3rd and the 6th of July, 2023. Hello. How are you? You all right this week? I hope you are. I have got my lovely best friend in the whole wide world, Ree, to help me discuss this week's EastEnders. Hello, Ree. How are you, my dear?
How are you, Rob? I'm all right. Thanks to you.
I'm all right.
I'm getting there. I'm a bit poorly this week.
Yeah, but you're not very well this week, are you, darling? So we'll try and zoom through this podcast so you can go back to bed. Just so you can go back to bed. Bless you.
Yeah.
Bless you. You had something to read out this week, I do believe, Ree. What
yeah, like it's not bad enough that I've been poorly, right?
Yeah.
Get this one, guys. Look, we try and read through all the comments and everything that we can as much as possible, but this one's a review that we've had, and I'm going to read it out to you. This was on
Best review ever.
Our Apple Podcasts. We got a 1-star rating. Title, Such a Shame. Would be a great podcast if it wasn't for the presenters. Their voices are like nails on a chalkboard, just painful to the ears. I mean, so what do you think to that, Rob? That lovely review?
Perfectly acceptable. I mean, that review basically just seemed to be saying this podcast would be great if it wasn't a podcast. So I don't know.
This is what I don't understand. Do they want us to write a script out and then give it to someone else who ain't got annoying voices?
Voiceovers.
Also, do you know what? To be fair, mate, I don't see why anyone's saying your voice is bad, because I don't get how anyone can be offended by your voice. So sorry about tiring you with my annoying voice, bro.
Yeah, your voice like nails down a chalkboard. I mean, if you'd like to leave us a lovely review or otherwise,
actually, that would be good on Apple because it'd cancel that one out. Yeah, it'll bring
our rating back up again. So if you could do that, that would be really helpful. 1 star. Such
but
a shame.
In all seriousness, absolutely hilarious.
We loved it. I laughed a lot. That nails down a chalkboard. Such a shame. It'd be a great podcast if it wasn't for the voices. That's a podcast, mate. I don't know what you want.
The presenters, not just as voices. Us personally.
We both need replacing. Then is that?
How would it be a good podcast without us? We are the podcast.
That is the podcast. That is. Hey, that is what it is. But there we are then. So if you'd like to leave us a review on anything, you can leave that on Apple Music. You can leave it on Audible. I think you can leave them on Spotify. There's loads of places where you can tell us what you think. Loads of places. All in the comment section below on YouTube. So me and Ree's annoying voices now have to discuss another week of EastEnders. So shall we do it, Ree?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we shall begin this week, ladies and gentlemen, with Kim's court case. The date has finally arrived and she is not dealing well with it. It's all a bit of a mixture of a lot of things going on with the Foxes and the Brannings this week. Because as well as the court case, you've also got what's going on with Lily and Ricky's sort of family meeting, which causes more problems for Jack and Denise than it does anybody else, I think. Because Jack and Denise are sort of still arguing and they're just sort of not getting on. I'm sort of confused as to how they got here. Because I know like they had the affair and everything was going wrong in there, but they seem to sort of had kind of put it to bed and sort of started getting on again. And now they're apparently like their marriage is like hanging on by a thread again, which seems odd. But Patrick returns this week and basically sorts them out in about 2 minutes because he's amazing, because he's Patrick. It was so good to see Patrick again. I didn't realise how long he'd been away for.
How long has it been?
Well, the fact that Denise had to tell him all about the Ravi affair.
Oh, yeah, true. All the Kim stuff.
The Kim stuff. Did not. I know he'd been away for a few weeks, but I didn't realise like quite how much had actually happened since he'd been away that he didn't know about. Like, bless him. All he wanted to do was come back, have a rum, and listen to a bit of music and chill out. And he gets all this family drama thrown at him.
Chance.
Poor Patrick. Go on.
Well, yeah, we're just going to say on the whole Denise and Jack thing. I don't think we've really seen them recently. Like as a couple, obviously we saw that they were going to start trying to make amends after they went on all that You know, they went to that escape room and all that.
Yes, yeah.
And then all the focus on Denise has been about Lola, really.
That's
so
true.
I think
yeah.
they're kind of reintroducing the Denise and Jack stuff again. So I think that
Yeah.
explains it.
But yeah, that's a good point. I've forgotten about the escape room. So this is what I mean. They seem to start.
I feel like that's the last time we saw him. Properly.
Yeah, and they would seem to have been sort of building things back up again. And then now it's like I say, until Patches arrived and literally sorted Jack out over one pint because he's that skilled. Interesting. Patrick returns and was a bit cagey about what had gone on with Yolandi while he was there. So
didn't give much away, did he?
Didn't give much away. So something we have stuff to discover on that front. I would wager. So that's exciting. But yes. So Kim's court date. She's really suffering badly with anxiety. When she arrives at court, she's still got that useless lawyer. So I wonder she's anxious, really. Like,
no,
it's like it'd be like expecting
this
me
guy's
to help a whole football team like win the World Cup. I would be very underqualified. The same as this guy. All right, very bad. But Denzel's character statement seems to go well. You know, so he gives a really nice statement for Kim in court, which is really nice. And then we get to the point where the prosecution starts detailing the events of the crash. Now, accompanied by security footage of the crash itself.
Yeah.
And it would appear that Walford has more cameras going from McClunky's to the short distance to the Argy Bargy, more cameras than the Big Brother house, and all sorts of different angles as well. It like the whole security thing looked like it had been directed by Quentin Tarantino. I don't understand.
Well, no, to be fair, mate, I think
Madness.
The main thing in that is, you know, usually the CCTV in Walford don't work.
Oh, well, exactly, yeah. I mean, this is the problem.
In London, it will be cameraed up like that. It's not that far away from it here, you know, we're big cities, Rob.
And
true. You know, local councils have access to all of these cameras at all times. It's very common these days.
Yeah, but they don't have like cameras like from the ground up, looking up at cars and being able to zoom in at HD resolution to like what their number plates are and like in real time.
Different angles. Yeah, true.
It was a lot of angles.
They'd all be high up. Yeah.
So the day of the car crash, they only went about 6 foot. And they had about 28 different views of this thing going on. And also, obviously, talking about the crash sort of sets Kim off in a panic attack, and you know, understandably, gets her panicking, and she's sort of, I mean, to be fair, once upon a time that scene would have been 10 times worse because we would have had like sound effects and
sound effects,
all sorts of madness would have been going on. However, it was quite mad in itself. Because I thought this judge was entirely unreasonable. Like, so Kim's having a panic attack and like needs to leave the room, and so this judge's response to that: well, have you got any evidence that she's having anxiety attacks? No. Well, then she can go to prison for a week. But look,
it was kind of how it all developed, wasn't it? Because she started going, I can't breathe. You need to get me out of here, right? Denise is shouting, she's having a panic attack. Kim can't really explain it herself.
Yeah.
Next thing, she's kind of pushing past the guard, isn't she? You know.
Yes.
In a mad panic is exactly what it looked like.
Yes.
But the judges interpreted that as get me out of here because I don't want to be here.
Yeah, she's kicking off. She's in contempt.
Well, to be fair, Howie made a good point the next day when he said it was a race as well. She's black and having a panic attack. Yeah, I think that was implied. That was straight away what I thought. I must be honest.
It's interesting with that.
Yeah, another person might have had that reaction. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, all I thought was that judge was just dead harsh and was just sort of like being completely unreasonable. It could well be a race thing. And I thought it was interesting that Harry brought that up, actually, because you sort of it's very easy to forget about that side of things once you get into prison, because the one place where you're definitely not going to get protected from anything is in prison. So it's more difficult. So yeah, Kim is sent to prison held in contempt until the judge has got sufficient evidence that she's been having panic attacks. Unreasonable cow. So Kim obviously is not dealing well with this, and we get sort of prison hair Kim, which we've never seen before, and quite a sight it was. Yeah. Quite a sight. Bless her. Because Kim is usually sort of the most glamorous, hair coiffed. And like a ton of hairspray all over it and looking fabulous. And now she is a disheveled shell of a woman with the fabulous red kind of streak in her hair all floppy and like running down her face, and she's a mess. It's not often we see Kim like this at all. So it's not. Very sad to see, bless her. And she's got no interest in sort of seeing anybody at the moment. I mean, she's only in there for a week, fortunately, but she doesn't want to see Howie. And she didn't really want to see Denise all that much, but she sort of kind of, built herself up to see Denise, and Denise is now really worried about her.
Is it not a waste of her prison cell sending her down for a week?
For a week, I know. Like for a week,
what is the point?
For what exactly? As well, this is what I mean. Like,
exactly.
so she kicked off in court essentially.
Contempt of court, weren't it?
Yeah, but like, why would you say? Like, there have been people in Walford. Like Billy was supposed to be on a murder charge. He was walking around quite happily in the square, like going to his job and everything for about 3 months before the court case happened. This judge kicking off once in a court because she must have had a bad day. That judge sent her to prison for a week. Really, really unreasonable. And I don't know if that's what would happen or not. But it seems very unreasonable. But yeah, it's going to be sort of sad to see how Kim gets out of this, because it's not going to get any better for Kim, I don't think, is it? Because she's in a mess at the moment, and whatever goes on in prison, is going to make her more of a mess. I don't know if we're going to see sort of Kim in prison, or whether we're just going to sort of see the end result. No,
I think we would have seen it already by now. But did you notice? I think last week we were saying how she's on the wait list for the NHS. Did you notice that Denise gave Howie some money? That was disappointing, weren't it?
I was a bit disappointed by that, because we have seen sort of the impact that anxiety and lack of treatment is having on Kim. So I was kind of hoping that was going to sort of be the running theme of the story, and sort of see what it's like with people with mental health problems having to experience that long, long waiting list. And I know stories have to go along a bit quicker, and I know they have to sort of, kind of keep it going and everything. But realistically, every single person who has to wait in a soap, 9 times out of 10 gets private care paid for them, and it's just not. It doesn't tell the full story, I don't think.
And it doesn't really send out a good message, I don't think, either. That if I've got money, then I'd be able to get. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think 500 quid's going to get them that far, if I'm honest with you, but.
Well, it's just one consultation, surely, isn't it? And this is, of course, the other thing that causes Jack and Denise problems, because Denise takes the money out of their joint account, and Jack kicks off about it, because Jack just being Jack.
Even though it's a joint account.
Joint accounts, and for something for her sister. And if Jack needed to take that money out, Denise wouldn't have anything to say about it, and he would kick off if she did have something to say about it. Just Jack being a
just don't get me started on Jack. He's a Neanderthal.
Yeah, he can be. He definitely can be. He's got that Branning. He's got that male Branning streak, kind of running from Jim to Max to Jack. Yeah, it's definitely.
He's annoyed me. He annoyed me this week a lot.
Yeah, but he's not getting your gold star this week, is he? Really?
He's certainly not.
Certainly not.
Also, did you notice when Howie tried to go and visit Kim?
Yeah.
And obviously he couldn't go and visit her and he didn't know why. And they said it turns out that the doctor had said that they advised against it because Kim had a panic attack. So I'm wondering, is that going to class as some medical evidence?
Oh yeah, if she's having panic attacks within the prison, then you would think it is. But I also wonder if, like, surely you would think that a lot of people that kind of don't belong in prison, the sort of people that find themselves there through very little fault of their own, in sort of Kim's type of story, a lot of them would surely feel like that within the prison environment. So I don't know if that's much medical proof, but also I didn't know whether that was the reason that Kim didn't want to see him, because
and that's just what Howie was saying.
I wonder that, because the prison guards kind of just basically said that they didn't know why Kim had cancelled, but he cancels and he was basically thrown out of the prison. So I don't know whether he found that out off screen and sort of then relayed it, or whether he sort of created that for himself to make himself feel better, so that it wouldn't come across like they didn't want to
save face when he was telling everyone.
It was a bit confusing. I don't know. I don't know if that was quite clear. I just figured that he
found out off screen. But you're right, you've got a point there, because we didn't actually see him find it out, did we?
I mean, I'm assuming that is what it is, that he just found it out off screen. But and they just wanted to go for the slightly more dramatic version of how we essentially being chucked out of the prison by 2 big, intimidating prison guards. But you'd think that maybe there is some sort of medical evidence there for Vinegar Tits, the judge, that sent her there in the first place. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Kim's in a mess. So a long way to go for her now, I think. And I don't know when this first consultation will be, presumably when she gets out of prison. But yeah, I think she's got a long, long way to go. Here come the brides, 3 grumpy brides, Bridal Club, ladies and gentlemen. Elaine,
Good one, Rob.
Thank you. Elaine, wasted on this podcast. Absolutely
You
wasted.
are, totally.
I should be on Britain's Got Talent or some of, mind you, not with my nail-like voice, the most annoying voice.
Oh, well, yeah, no.
We have the most annoying voices in podcasting, Ree. Don't forget that.
They didn't say that, Rob.
No,
that's
true.
Credit.
Right, so Elaine has decided to start Bridal Club. Now, the only reason she wanted to do this in the first place was because she was obviously thinking about her own wedding. She wanted Gina and Anna to be like the perfect bridesmaids, and she got the magazines that instantly they were like, no, I'm not wearing a single thing that that magazine has to offer. So she was kind of left with a load of sort of wanting to arrange weddings, but without really a wedding to arrange because she wanted to sort of hold off until the girls were fully behind her. So she recruits Kathy, Sharon, and then Sharon recruits Kath just to get on her nerves, which I quite enjoyed. And Elaine literally spends the week sort of criticizing Kathy and Sharon. She says that Kathy's dress is basically trash. She implies that Sharon is curvy and needs something to support her mammoth breasts. basically what she said. Basically what she said, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And then they actually get to the Bridal Club. And it was just a great scene. I really, really enjoyed this scene with the sort of the four ladies and Kat and Sharon just going at each other. See, the whole Kat and Sharon thing is interesting because at some points you really think they are trying to emulate the Pat and Peggy type relationship.
Yeah, it's just totally that.
Isn't it? With sort of Phil in the Frank role, which.
Yeah.
But it just works, honestly. For me, it works. I really, really enjoy it. And like the bit where sort of Kat was throwing like insults at Keanu, and then Sharon made her drink out of Kathy's spit cup.
Well, actually, I've got something to say on that.
Go on then, Ree.
Right. I love all this beef with Kat and Sharon. I think it's great. I think it works.
Yeah.
However, Kat was making a few little jibes that Sharon's, partner's a few years younger than her and drinks out of a sippy cup and all that. Yep. Next thing you know, Sharon's giving Kathy's spit juice. I don't think they balance out somehow, do you?
Figure that she was a bit out of order, do you?
Yeah, a bit harsh. And then best thing is, it's Sharon who walks off and says, "This is all a bit too much for me." Are you joking?
Yeah.
You just
the thing is with Sharon, she can give it, but she can't take it.
That is true. And I think
Kat can. Kat is quite prepared to sit there and just like give it, and then we'll take whatever she's and then give as good as she gets, basically. But Sharon, I think Sharon is a bit more sensitive about the Phil thing for a start. Like she is resentful of the fact that Kat is with Phil, hence the Pat and Peggy Frank type parallels. And I think she is quite sensitive of Kat necessarily making jibes about Keanu. Especially the fact that Keanu and Sharon began as a sort of sordid affair, which was practically the reason that Phil and Sharon broke up in the first place, in a way. So you can sort of maybe see why she's a little bit more sensitive about it. Like if Kathy had been saying that sort of thing, I don't think Sharon would have reacted that way. But because it was Kat, I think that's the sort of thing that sort of fuels their relationship. But it was interesting. Go on. Go on.
I was just going to say, if you remember a bit ago when it was just Kat and Sharon talking, and Kat said, I specifically remember her saying, "Oh, what does he know? He's 23, he likes cheesy garlic bread and Xbox or something like that." And she found it funny then. Yeah. So why were it suddenly such an issue?
Well, to be fair, on that scene, Kat was actually trying to make amends with her at that point, so they were sort of having a bit more of an emotional moment. But at this point, like they were just jibing at each other.
Jibe.
Fair enough. But interestingly, I thought Kat then tried to make amends because she goes to Keanu because she's worked out what's wrong with Sharon in the first place. She's kind of just like, right, well, Keanu, you need to pull your finger out your ass and actually do something about this wedding because Sharon is not going to want to do this on her own. You need to show her that you're serious. And so thereby, Keanu arranges a ring and says to her, right, I'm here, I'm dedicated, let's do this. Like, I want to marry you tomorrow if you want. But, so she kind of does her thing and maybe sort of levels that out a little bit. With the Bridal Club thing, I hope this continues. I'm enjoying this. I like this. I hope it's not just a 1 week storyline, and I hope Sharon decides to go back now because it's funny.
Well, do you know as well? I was saying last week, Elaine, I'm still not 100% on.
Yeah.
What I did like this week is that Kathy was showing that she was feeling that way about how Elaine is because she's been quite over the top, hasn't she, and everything. I actually thought it was quite good to see that Kathy were feeling that way and rolling her eyes at her all the time.
Yeah. The thing is with Elaine, I get it. I get why some people are maybe struggling with her a little bit in terms of how theatrical she is, how boisterous she is, how kind of forward she is in a lot of ways. But at the same time, I feel like she's got that right level of sort of campness and forthwithness. What word about? You know what I'm trying to say? It basically her role within the Vic, I think, suits that. It just takes a little bit of getting used to because she's becoming like a hurricane, essentially, hasn't she? And she's immediately like this because I think that she's a character that we technically already knew. If she come in as a brand new character, maybe that might have taken a little bit of adjusting. And if the actress hadn't changed and Elaine has started coming like this, or Elaine as Cat calls her, which I also quite liked. I don't know why, that tickled me.
Oh, yeah.
Then maybe it might have like maybe she might have easily been a bit more accepted a bit quicker. Do you know what I'm trying? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you're saying. I'm still not used to it.
No, fine.
The fact that Kathy kind of acknowledged it and was getting annoyed by it makes
you feel like you're allowed to feel that.
Yeah, exactly. Because I know that it's meant to be part of a character. It's not me saying, anything bad about how it's being acted. I know it's meant to be the character. But it's just taking
I know what you
to
mean.
Get used to.
Of course, yeah. She couldn't. I mean, the actress can only do what's written, can't she? But it's
my opinion.
Of course, yeah, and it's fine. I mean, I like I said, and I totally get it. I get that she's a lot, and I get that she's like quite sort of a loud, big character, and that sort of character can sort of kind of go this way or the other. It's working for me because I get it within the role that she's playing in the Vic. Like she's the Queen Vic landlady. So I feel like I kind of need like a brassy, gobby dramatic woman in that role. But it just takes a little bit of getting used to in some respects, I think. But I liked her role within this storyline because she was being that, like you say, being quite forceful with the three girls about their weddings, and she will continue to be. I think, like, she's basically made it clear that anything to do with their wedding goes through her first.
Yeah, that was funny when they talked about Kat's wedding dress. Yeah.
Their dresses.
Run it by me so I can make sure it's first. Not too tardy, did she say, or something? Yeah.
Just making sure that Kat doesn't look like she's gone through in the entire sea of the men in Walford. Yeah, I get it. I thought I enjoyed Kat laughing at that as well. Like,
it works in the context of the Brides Club, though. Elaine is definitely. So this is a good way of adding to it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen both arguments with Elaine online, and like I say, I get it. I do get it. I get it completely. But I think I'm just on the other side. I just like her. She's working for me because of who she is and the role that she's playing. If she had gone anywhere else in the show, maybe it might have felt a little bit different. Sort of like if she wasn't in charge of the Vic.
Yeah.
But then, and I'm not comparing her to Peggy when I say this, but at the same time, Peggy could be like this a lot of the time. Like you could quite easily have stuck Peggy in charge of a bridal club, and Peggy would have tried to take charge like that, because Peggy, by the time of her original tenure, she was basically in charge of the entire square. So maybe they're trying to fast forward Elaine a little bit to try to get into that sort of situation. Maybe that's why it's a little bit jarring for some folks.
Could be, possibly. Yeah,
I don't know.
Possibly.
Give her time. I think she's getting there. I think she is getting there, and I think people will eventually start to come in and like, oh, okay, it's fine. I get you. I hope, because there's nothing worse, because of the role that she's playing. There's nothing worse than that not being played by a popular character. That's a problem. But I think it might be all right. I think it might be okay, but we'll have to wait and see. Right, ladies and gentlemen, next story. So, Ree, if I had given you a bet a few weeks ago and asked you whether you thought Chelsea and Ravi were going to get back together, what would you have said? What would you have put your money on?
Yes. I can't do betting odds, but I would have said yes.
18-1.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, I thought they were done. I really did. I thought that
really?
Chelsea.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I thought that Chelsea would have had a bit more sort of sense regarding her exes and realizing a bit of a bad boy when she sees one. However, the arms of Ravi are just too much to resist.
Okay, you say that you'd think she'd have a bit more sense. I ship Chelsea and Ravi.
Do you?
I do. I like Ravi. What is wrong with me?
Because he's a great character. Because he's a great layered. He's a fabulously layered character. That's what you like to see. It's what you love.
I've literally been like, yay, Chelsea and Ravi are back together.
That's interesting. Because what is wrong with you and what is wrong with Chelsea? Because there is no way that this is going to end up well. Because also, What
reaction?
Yeah, but what reaction does she think is gonna have with the rest of the family? Like with her mum, for instance. Like they've only just like her and Denise were barely talking.
That's on them. If it's true, love, be right.
Well, it might be true, love. I don't know. But so the gang at number 1 have a house party, and Ravi basically invites himself along, which, you know, and at this house party, it basically turns out to make Chelsea jealous because he knows full well like that Chelsea still fancies him, like because she's got eyes, you know. So he turns up and basically attempts to flirt with this girl, makes it obvious that he's planning on going home with this girl, and Chelsea's like, I think not. Before we go much further with the house party, I do want to make a quick shout out to Reese, who was incredible.
I was waiting for it.
I loved it.
Reese genius, yeah, it was brilliant.
Fantastic. I love Reese so much. I mean, the thing about the Reese thing was basically he was just Reese's way of chatting to people at a party is to immediately give everybody financial advice and talk about the world of accountants. Whitney saved Chelsea from this by basically force feeding Reese tequila, and very quickly Reese was hammered. And so
do you know what though? Yeah, I can't say that I wouldn't be all right with somebody giving me financial.
You'd quite enjoy it, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
quite enjoy it.
I would actually.
As a businesswoman, you'd quite enjoy it, wouldn't you? It'd be very helpful.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. Yeah.
How'd you go at the party? Yeah, I got 2 numbers, both accountants. Marvelous.
Some great advice on these interest rates. Yeah, let me tell you.
Talk about MOTs all night. Had a great time. Banging party. So Reese ends up like just ripping his top off and dancing to Sandstorm. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And what a tune it was as well. Fabulous.
What a tune, man.
What a tune. Fabulous, showing our age there. I think that was a proper 90s banger, wasn't it? Like,
who cares Sandstorm. When it's a banger like that?
You could play that in 2058 and it would still be a banger, I say. There we are.
Definitely.
So yeah, meanwhile, Chelsea kind of runs out after this girl has kind of gone away because Chelsea told this girl that Ravi was bad news, basically, and said that he's only here to try and make me jealous. So don't get hurt, love. Don't get hurt. Don't put yourself through it. Don't make the same mistakes I have. So Ravi sort of storms out and Chelsea follows him out. And before too long, the pair of them are snogging like crazy in the middle of the square. Very dramatic camera angle when that happened. Did you notice?
Thank you. This is exactly what I was going to bring up. What was that about?
Very dramatic.
I don't think we needed that.
You don't think the scene warranted
that? I got dizzy. I know I've not been well this week, but bloody hell.
Maybe that's why EastEnders made you ill. Yeah. I'd sue if I were you. See if you can get any money for all the Lucas you'd have to consume.
BBC.
I mean, yeah, it was very dramatic. I don't know if the scene quite warranted it, but I enjoyed it. I just thought it was just quite a mad shot. It just went zooming around. Same person who directed
we're both commenting on it.
I know, it was the same person because it stood out. I think that's why, isn't it? It stood out. Clearly, whoever directed this week's EastEnders is also behind Walford Security because they very similar dramatic styles. I thought, there we are. But yeah, so as a result of that, Chelsea and Ravi spend the night together. And Chelsea is all immediately are you delighted by this? Seriously, like you really like them together.
I genuinely do.
Yeah,
I think Ravi knows Chelsea well. That's why he turned up to the party the way that he did. He knew exactly what reaction he was going to get.
Yeah.
She gave it him. She gave him the reaction as well.
I
think that
he read her like a book. He read her like a book.
Yeah, didn't he?
Some people are a closed book. Some people are an open book. And some people are a colouring book. And Chelsea was very easy to read. It was like the hungry caterpillar. Yeah. He went through it very quickly and knew exactly what happened. I mean, the Chelsea Ravi thing is interesting. It's an interesting relationship because when they first got together, it was very much a case of Ravi was only there to make Denise jealous.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of slowly actually started liking her. To now where you believe like fully it's 100% genuine from his part. Like he's nothing to do with Denise now. It's just all about Chelsea.
Romeo and Juliet, aren't they, Rob? Just like what Lily's studying.
They shouldn't need Theo at all. She just needs to go talk to Ravi and Chelsea about their relationship.
Yeah,
there
real
you go.
life on the square.
There you go. Who needs it? Well, let's hope it doesn't end the same way then in that case.
Oh, yeah.
Good job they got Zach who can cook, isn't it?
Christmas Day.
I mean, it does put Ravi in kind of prime position for that because no one in the Branding Foxes is going to be delighted that this is happening. No one's going to be happy about this other than Chelsea.
Yes, but sorry, rewind. Chelsea got a letter.
Yes, Chelsea got a letter from Gray. Like he has been kind of, trying to get in contact with her for a few weeks now about to see Jordan. Now, I don't. Why? Why is this happening?
Why do they keep mentioning Grace?
Why do they keep mentioning this? Yeah, it's worrying. It's a bit. But Toby Alexander Smith, who played Grey, I think is in Bridgerton or something now. He released a picture not so long ago of him filming. And he released it's some period drama, and I think Bridgerton's the only one really going at the moment, isn't it? So I think he's in that, or he's doing something period drama related.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. So I don't know if he's available, whether he'd have just filmed like an episode or something. I don't know. Because he's not. It's not like he's
keep mentioning it.
Why? I know. It's a bit.
It's been a lot.
Yeah, and he wants to see Jordan, and Chelsea's kind of like, well, no, that's not happening. You're not coming anywhere near my child. I don't care if it's yours. So I don't know. I don't know is the answer to that. I don't know if we're going to suddenly get a surprise Grey appearance. Can you imagine if like the whole Cindy thing got spoiled, and yet the one thing that stayed a surprise was Grey reappearing for an episode? I'd be upset. I would be upset. That would be. I'll have to wait and see how that goes. But yeah, so where does it go? Like, how do you reckon the rest of the family is going to react to these two now officially being back together? Because they are now officially back together.
Well, they're all going to hate. I mean, Patrick
was
talking to Chelsea in pub, weren't he, saying, "Oh, well, thank God that you're not going after titles like Ravi anymore." And she's like,
Chelsea's,
yeah, really like that there, Patrick.
Yeah, that would be terrible, wouldn't it? Yeah, well, definitely won't do that, Patrick. No, man, no. Like, yeah, it's not going to go down well. It's not going to go down well at all, and it's going to just continue building up sort of Ravi's enemy list. Like Jack and Ravi is kind of like a big enemy thing. Denise, obviously.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. It's not going to bode well. It's not going to
go well.
Whitney already knows though, and
Whitney knows.
She went. That disapproving, really.
Whitney can't talk.
She would just,
Whitney has got nothing to say about bad relationships whatsoever.
Okay, yeah.
I thought it was interesting also that the little scene between Ravi and Nugget this week, like Nugget essentially saying to Ravi, like she brings out something, she brings out a better side of you, and if anyone's going to know that, it will be Nugget. So
and then Chelsea said that Nugget brings out the best side of Ravi as well.
See,
nice.
I told you, Nugget's great. Nugget brings.
He is great.
He is
great.
Why
have we not seen Nugget that much?
No, give us some more Nugget, please.
Back.
Bring Nugget back. We want more Nug. Love Nugget. I love Nugget. He's great. So yeah, there we are then. So Chelsea and Ravi back together essentially, and we shall have to wait and see how that goes. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, tiny little story. One teeny tiny storyline to quickly zoom through this week. It would have been Lola's 27th birthday this week. So they Denise decides to do a nice little event at the salon and sort of gather all her friends and family in there. And it's really nice actually. They've set up a sort of special sort of chair in there with a little plaque on the back, just for Lola's memory in the salon, because they're really going to miss Lola in there. And there's a bit of thing with Lexi this week because she realizes that everyone's trying to sort of avoid the subject of Lola's birthday, I think for her benefit, but she sort of takes it the wrong way, doesn't she? And then sort of goes to school and then immediately gets sent back home again because I take it she was misbehaving. It wasn't really made that clear, but I think she was either misbehaving or was very upset, so they sent her home anyway or something like that. And then Jay and Ben basically sort of go, no one's forgotten about her. All is well. We're going to miss her immediately. We're going to miss her hugely. You've made a lovely card, and all is well. So I think it's basically all about sort of the continuation of Lexi's grieving process and watching Lexi sort of come to terms with the death of her mum, really, isn't it?
I mean, I think it were a bit harsh that they didn't invite Lexi to the salon. It would have been nice for Lexi to have been there. I know, but I think she could have had some time off school as well for grieving.
Or just done it after school. Or just done it after school.
Or even that. Yeah, I think she should have been there, though. I think it were a bit harsh that she wasn't. I know they were trying to not acknowledge it were a birthday, but I don't even... That were more for selfish reasons that they didn't want to acknowledge it with her rather than...
Yeah, I mean, it's... I think they're all sort of trying to learn how to... Like, they've all got their own grieving to do. And they've all got to sort of work around each other's grieving processes, but also trying to sort of calculate how to include Lexi in that and how much to include her in the grieving process. Because she's obviously having her own very individual journey with this, isn't she? She's sort of like... what is she, like 8, 9 or something? Like, so...
she's about 10 or 11. She's going to comp. 11.
Oh, yeah, she is.
That's comp this year,
oh, God, yeah, she is.
Big
Christ.
school.
Yeah, big school, yeah. Of course she is. So, yeah, but even so, she's still quite a young girl. So, like, a kid that age going through something like this is quite a difficult thing for her, I think. So they're trying to work out how to deal with that, as well as sort of balancing their own grieving processes. So maybe they were trying to do the right thing, but ultimately I think she would have been better off going to this event and sort of being around her friends and family, as opposed to just going to school. Because the thing is, when you're at school, everyone's talking about like what they did with their mums or their dads at the weekend, and you've got to sort of learn to deal with that. It's difficult as a kid dealing with death. I think it is hard. So bless us. We'll sort of, but you can sort of feel like this storyline is sort of petering out a little bit to sort of make way for other stuff until we kind of come back to it, which is fine because obviously it's been quite a big storyline for quite a few weeks now. I think the thing now is sort of now Jay and Lexi are now both living with Ben and Callum. It's going to be about Ben's eating disorder and sort of how he's going to keep that to himself and how he's dealing with that. So, well, she'll have to see, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if we sort of have a break from this storyline over the next couple of weeks and then return to it, but we shall have to wait and see. Finally, this week, ladies and gentlemen, it was the big A story for this week. We are now about to discuss Stacey and Theo. Final story of the week, ladies and gentlemen, and I think you'll find I called it. Theo is Stacey's secret customer. I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to have any sort of smugness about it. I thought it was a fairly obvious twist. Not to criticise it because it works, but don't get your face expression off you. No, I think this was a really, really, really good story this week. I enjoyed it as
I
much
agree.
as you.
You need to calm down a bit. To be fair, Rob.
Sorry, Ray. I'm sorry. But yeah, very good and very, very creepy. Very, very chilling. I thought Theo is a little bit creepy now.
Yeah,
we get a lot of build-ups to this because obviously the family meeting is going off. Lily's really worried about that. Martin is sort of worried about Lily. Gets Sonia to check her over. And the family meeting happens. Lily's got a high blood pressure. It's all sort of, and you sort of think, right, well, okay, so is it focusing on Lily's health for a lot of this week? Not where it goes, however, because the meeting kind of happens and Lily kind of kicks off a little bit and says, well, I'm feeling a bit pushed out and everything. But the slate is basically deal with that. It's mainly Jack and Denise that kind of come out of that meeting with problems about their own relationship. So it's not really that centered around the Slaters, the meeting. Where the Slaters do come into their own, however, is when Theo arrives and offers to give Lily private tutoring. And Stacey is kind of like, well, that's a very, very nice thing for you to do, but I can't afford to pay you. And Theo's like, don't worry about that. That's absolutely fine. I'm feeling guilty about the way that everything went with Freddie. So you give me a couple of bacon sandwiches a day and we'll call it quits. And I will give your daughter a fantastic education at the Slater kitchen table. Now,
red flag.
Well, this does set Martin's spidey senses a tingling, doesn't it? Because he's kind of, and Martin didn't even know about the trainers, which I didn't realise he didn't know about, I don't think. But he finds out about the trainers because he sort of kind of interrogates Lily about Theo and manages to get out that he bought these trainers and goes mad. And Stacey's role in this. Do you think that Stacey's been a little bit sort of blind to what's going on here? Like, are you?
Yeah. Like Martin said that Pauline had said to him, what were it?
Yeah, go on.
No,
pull your way out of that one.
Nothing in life comes for free. Something like that.
Yes.
Please correct my paraphrase in there. But yeah, totally. So why is Stacey not thinking that? Because I would have thought of all people, Stacey would know that, there's always a catch. So what? She just thinks that he's being nice because of what happened with Freddie.
Yeah, well,
I'm not buying Stacey buying it. Is it that she's just so desperate and so busy? I think it's kind. I mean, the thing is with stories like this, sometimes a character has to act like completely and utterly stupid in order for the storyline to actually happen. Okay, so I kind of get it why people are sort of looking at Stacey and going, hello, but you can also sort of look at it the fact that she is so worried about Lily and she's so worried about like the money thing, and she's more concerned, I think, about Lily's future and the fact that Lily is worried about her future. Like Lily is literally looking at her future right now with a sort of like, I don't get what happens. I'm going to have this baby. I'm clearly going to have no qualifications. So how am I going to look after this kid? So Theo offers something like this, sort of give her even the smallest bit of a leg up from where she is at the moment. And Stacey's like, yeah, cool, we'll take it. That's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Because obviously the trainer thing, she did have a red flag up there, and she was like, no, bit weird. Let's not do that. Thank you. Get out. And yet now, because Lily has become so emotionally involved in this now, and Lily really likes Theo. She's getting a lot out of her sessions with Theo. And I can understand why people kind of were looking at it and go, yeah, he's interested in Lily. He's after Lily. He's after Lily. But we get the official confirmation this week that Stacey's private customer from her OnlyFans page is Theo, who is secret cam. Yeah. Now he's walking around the square outside the house with Stacey on his phone, which I didn't think was the most private place he could have done that. Considering where I'm assuming the amount he's probably paying for Stacey to do this, they're having more than a bit of a conversation about their day. So I would have thought he would have done that at home, but that, if that's what I would do, I'd take it home. I wouldn't stand outside the person's house and do it, but then I'm not a weirdo like Theo, because Theo is a bit of a weirdo. Go on.
Well, as also, anyone could have walked past him on Albert Square and been like,
yeah, why is Stacey on your phone?
What are you looking at? Yeah.
Oh, what's Stacey wearing?
Yeah, a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Could have just been sat in his car watching it, I think.
All that.
Because
but I think
then it would have, insinuated these. I think it was to show that he was outside the house. Like,
that's exactly how it was. It was just to sort of magnify how weird he is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was interesting because we kind of discovered just quite how weird Theo is this week via a couple of ways. Number one was when Martin went to his old school in Essex and sort of tried to get some details about him, about why he left the school. And the very reluctant receptionist sort of said, right, okay, yeah, all right, fine. He is a bit of a weirdo and he caused a lot of trouble here. It doesn't exactly tell him why. Martin leaves that school thinking that Theo's a paedophile and runs straight back and sort of bursts into the Slater house and attacks him. And Theo basically says that, no, I had a bit of a dodgy relationship with one of the staff there. It didn't end well. And I had to sort of leave under a black cloud. That's all it was. And Stacey believes him. But the other way in which Theo turns out to be a bit weird is that he goes into Stacey's bedroom and nicks a bit of perfume. Now, the way that he was going around her bedroom, I genuinely thought that he was going to start going through a knicker drawer. I thought that was where it was heading.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
The way he was kind of running his fingers through across her nightie and on the pillows and everything, and he kept looking down. I thought, oh God, he's going to go in a knicker drawer. I don't like it.
So, Rob has never seen a TV show called You.
No, I haven't.
Old Louise Mitchell, Tilly Keeper, has just been in the latest season of, so some more relevance there.
Good.
Anyone who has seen You, how Joe Goldberg is Theo being right now? He is a huge stalker, Rob, and this just screams Joe Goldberg. Let me know in the comments if you have made this connection, please, because oh my God, and Rob has no idea what I'm talking about.
I've got a clue what you're talking about.
No one else to compare this with, but it's so Joe Goldberg. It's frightening, it's horrible, it's creepy. I don't like it.
Expand. Who is this bloke? And how is he
sorry.
How is he
for anyone else who doesn't know,
just rant to yourself. Tell me.
So for anyone else who doesn't watch You, Joe Goldberg often starts stalking women. He'll come across a woman that he likes the look of, and then that's it. The next thing is on all the socials. He's sat at home, reading everything that he can, finding anything he can out online about him, and then he starts putting himself in their orbit. So then he'll start showing up at maybe the local cafe or something like that, or the library. He starts trying to get himself involved in the life somehow. Next thing, he starts trying to go out with them, and then whatever way it goes. But he also then starts creeping around their house, taking trophies. Yes, yeah, and then he stores them in a little box. But then he does usually then ends up locking them in a cage and killing them eventually. So let's just hope.
Well, this is only the start of the story, so we don't know where it's going. It could be going in any direction, because me and you both noticed this. The Romeo and Juliet parallels. There was a lot of Romeo and Juliet talk this week. Now I know that Lily will have been studying this at school. However, he does immediately seem warped enough to be making the connection between Romeo and Juliet and him and Stacey. I thought.
Yeah, definitely.
And we all know how Romeo and Juliet ends. Spoiler alert if you've never seen or read Romeo and Juliet, but they both die. No, I don't think.
Not well.
Not well. It doesn't end well for them. It's a tragedy. And I do wonder if he's going to start trying to make parallels between himself being Romeo and Stacey being Juliet. Like, sort of, and there was the other thing. She was upstairs doing a camera thing, and he was down below. So maybe the balcony thing and the floor thing down below. What light through yonder? What light through pervy window breaks? You know, it could be going in that way. Yes, I know.
Oh no.
And the only character that sort of came out of this with any sort of sensibilities was Martin. Now, Martin had a great week because Martin was literally the only person looking at everything that was going on and saying, hang on a minute. So you're coming here at any time you like and giving my daughter free tutoring just for the price of a bacon sandwich, and you're buying a trainer's, and you're taking a... I don't trust any of this. This is... My spidey senses are going mad. Lots of red flags waving around. Like, this is ridiculous. And you sort of... I can understand his frustration because Stacey is literally sort of like, no, there's nothing wrong with him. Like, chill out, Martin. He's doing good things for Lily. And I think that's the thing that's blinding Stacey more than anything else, is the fact that Lily is happy with the situation. Because I feel like Lily would have, especially after sort of what they had to go through when they first found out that Lily was pregnant, and they sort of had to go through that whole kind of like, right, well, every man within a 5-mile radius now needs interviewing because you're so underage. So I wonder if, like, because she feels that because they went through that, Lily would immediately say if something was off. Do you think? I don't know.
Possibly,
maybe that...
yeah, I didn't think of that actually. No, that could be, oh, she's just going the other way and being like, well, we've been over the top, so not every man is, you know, maybe it's not every man is like that, so, you know, stop thinking it about every man because they're not all like that.
Yeah, I mean, well,
no, go on. I was going to say, I was thinking, is it because as well, not only is Stacey thinking that he's all right, the entire household, like,
yeah, Jean's quite happy.
Got no problem, Harvey's got no problem. I don't
Freddie's
know
happy.
He outed him. Yeah, Freddie, Eve, even Eve as well. You would think that Eve might pick up on something being odd, but everyone else seems to have been won over by him, and they've spent time with him. So Stacey's probably thinking, "You're the only one with a problem, Martin." So,
yeah. And to be fair, Martin has been overprotective before, you know. So it's not like this is a new sort of brave side of Martin that we've not seen before. It's like this is very in character for Martin to sort of immediately sort of be going a little bit kind of bull in a china shop with it, like he did when they got to the hospital, because this was the only part of the whole thing that he got wrong. Was because
and that didn't make sense for him to have that reaction at all, to be honest.
Jean has to go during the middle of one of their sessions. Jean goes to the shop to go to get milk or whatever, leaving Theo and Lily alone in the house. Now he takes advantage of that moment and then goes upstairs and nicks the perfume. But at that moment, Lily has a really bad case of Braxton Hicks. Now, did you have Braxton Hicks when you were pregnant?
I didn't.
Did you not?
Actually.
I did wonder.
Not that I'm aware of.
She's rushed to hospital. Now it's just really bad timing because Stacey's phone's on silence and everyone sort of misses the calls and all that kind of thing. That's it. Yeah, she left the phone upstairs in the bedroom, and yeah, that's right because she went upstairs and you sort of think, oh, she's going to notice something in the bedroom, but she didn't notice anything.
She did.
She noticed the phone.
The perfume, didn't she?
I don't know. I don't think she did. No, I think we were supposed to. I think we were supposed to wonder if she was not about to smell the perfume, and then she saw her phone. Was like, "Oh no, it's here. It's all good," and then sort of moved on with it. So I don't know whether she actually did smell the perfume, or whether we were supposed to think that she might smell the perfume. I'm not sure.
I think I took it as she did, and then got distracted by a phone.
Oh, okay. So it might be sort of like a mental note that she will refer to later. Okay, well, we'll see where that goes. See where that goes. So yes. Lily's rushed to hospital because she thinks that something's wrong with the baby, obviously. Martin bursts in, like, grabs Theo, is going, because he thinks that he's done something to Lily. And Lily's kind of like, what is wrong with you? You're a psychopath, get out. And it was the only bit of the whole thing when Martin was out of line, because for a start, he just did all this in front of Lily and Stacey in the middle of a hospital, like stupid. Like, silly Martin, very, very silly Martin. Yeah. And it kind of gives Theo the fuel that he needs to sort of be really overly reasonable about it all. It's just like, no, it's all right, it's fine. He's just protecting you. He's being a good parent. He's being protective, which again sort of puts Stacey in the mind of, oh, this guy's really sweet. This guy's really, really reasonable. So at the end of the week, when Lily is back home and all is well with the world, there's a little bit of a moment between them because Stacey kind of puts her hand on his and gives him a hug. Kind of has to interrupt him from sniffing her perfume in his car, like he was sniffing a bottle of poppers. Like just sniffing along in the car.
What was that? He did get it right up his nostril.
Right up his nostril, didn't he? Really inhaled it. I don't think that's safe to do with perfume.
Probably not.
I don't think he's supposed to do that.
Probably shouldn't have drove his car after that.
No, he'd be very lightheaded. Like a la Stacey kind of going through his brain. He can't drive the car in that state, honestly. But Martin is watching from the opposite side of the square. So obviously nothing has been settled in Martin's mind, even though he sort of gave the impression, all right, I'm sorry, shake hands, all is well. No, Martin is very, very suspicious and remains so.
Can I add something to this?
Of course you may, Ree.
When they were at the hospital, why did Theo give Stacey and Lily a lift home, but then Martin said, "I'll make my own way home"?
Because I don't think Martin.
Get that.
Because Martin was just kind of like, no, I don't. I think it was just one of those situations where, well, to be fair, I've just thrown you up against a wall, so I don't expect you to take me home. I think it was more that sort of thing. I got.
All right, then why didn't Stacey and Lily get in taxi with Martin?
Because Martin just. No, because they didn't get a taxi. They gave Theo gave them both a lift home, and Martin was kind of like, "No, I'll make my own way, thanks."
So,
like sort of chastised.
So Martin didn't get a taxi then.
No, Martin got a bus. But yeah, or he bus walked. Right. But he was.
Well, they should have told me that he got a bus.
Is that your biggest issue with the storyline? Is
yes.
It? Why did Martin get home from the hospital? Why didn't you tell me that? Rubbish week.
But to be fair, actually, it's also a bit like. Stacey's known Martin all this time, took Theo's word over Martin's, and rather than go home in a taxi that Martin had paid for, oh no, I'll take a free lift off Theo instead. I don't know, we're all a bit...
No, I know what you mean. This is the thing with Stacey, and I think this is going to be a bone of contention throughout the storyline, maybe. It's the fact that Stacey is just going to be so blind to it. But I think it's literally just, however happy Lily is throughout the entire process is going to depend on, is going to kind of counter how blind Stacey is going to be to everything that's going on around her. But obviously, the thing is, throughout all of this, is that Lily is not his target. Stacey is his target. Yeah. So you kind of with all the things that everyone is kind of worried about Lily, and whilst Martin is kicking off about Lily, nobody's even thinking for a second that it's Stacey that he's interested in. So I think it's going to have to take a little bit of thinking of how to move on from Lily before Stacey kind of goes, actually, you're being really weird towards me personally. So I think we've got a long way to go for this storyline. It was a bit of a spoiler for this storyline, by the way. The Inside Soap Awards nominations came out this week. So go on the Inside Soap Awards website to vote for all things EastEnders, because they deserve it. But Theo is nominated for Best Villain. Now, by this point, by the time that these nominations came out, Theo actually hadn't done anything that bad yet. We didn't even know he was Stacey's customer at that point. And so far, basically all you're expecting to vote for Theo for is that he nicked some perfume, which, you know, very bad. It might have been expensive perfume.
I was thinking that actually. She's not got that much money and you've nicked her expensive perfume.
To be fair, you think she'd noticed where that a perfume had been swiped, so maybe that might get mentioned next week. Has anyone seen my 50 quid perfume that I got from duty free?
Yeah.
So yeah, there we are then. So unsettling stuff with Theo. I thought William Ellis played it very, very well. He's very, very creepy. And as a result, just for a bit of controversy, I do think, because I enjoyed this story for what it was, and I enjoyed the aspect of Theo being a creepy person, and I thought William Ellis played it very well, I think I might give Theo my gold star this week. How's that for controversy?
Yeah. Rob, you can't give it to him.
No, I enjoyed the story. The gold star, let's not get this warped, all right? The gold star is to be given to a character.
You explain to me what it's for then, because you know I'm doing it every week and I have no idea.
Shall I explain to you what the gold star is 13 weeks into our podcast?
Yeah.
It's basically a character or a role within the show that you really, really enjoyed this week and that really kind of made an impact for you and that really stood out, or the character that you enjoyed watching the most throughout the week. So yeah, I really enjoyed the Theo stuff, and I think he's going to be a good villain. So I'm just going to give it to Theo. Do one.
Well, do you want to know? Do one. You do
one. Why don't you do one?
No one else understands that.
No one else understands that. Go on, go on. Who's your gold star going to?
Well, I'd actually already thought about this, and mine's going to Martin. So I take your Theo, and I give you Martin.
You take it
for being the only sensible person.
Absolutely. I will take Theo, put that in my pipe, and smoke it. There we are then. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this week's story discussions. Quite a good week. I am really intrigued to see where this Theo stuff goes, and I'm telling you now, this definitely puts Theo in line for Christmas Day, doesn't it?
I was just about to say that. 100%.
I think it does. Definitely. Because the way that the Six storyline is going, it feels like each woman needs a man to be a target for. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, they need a man that they could potentially kill at Christmas. Stacey now has Theo. Denise has Ravi. Suki has Nish, potentially Ravi. Kathy hasn't really got anybody yet. Might end up being Rocky, because it feels like Rocky might have more secrets to come out of him. I feel like he's that sort of character.
But not worthy killing him, but
no,
yeah,
not
possibly.
yet, not yet.
Sharon.
Sharon has, who we don't really know for Sharon yet. Like, obviously, she's getting married on Christmas Day, so possibly Keanu, possibly Phil. I feel like Sharon's not the killer at this stage, I'll be honest.
No.
And then Linda. Now, Linda, we don't know how the Cindy storyline is going to play out, so I think
Yeah.
that's all going to be very dependent on Linda's role within the story. But so far, could be George, could be someone else who hasn't turned up, could be Dean. He got a mention a few weeks back.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh god.
Yeah, so lots and lots more to come for that
But
storyline.
also,
yeah. Yes,
Gray.
could be. I mean, I don't see how he's getting out of prison, and let's hope he doesn't get out of prison.
I was wondering that, but I just can't get over the fact that they keep mentioning him.
I know.
But I did think, how would he get out of prison? Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. Right then, ladies and gents, final part of the podcast next, where we read some comments from you lovely people.
So this week on our socials, we're going to start with a comment from our Facebook group from David Davis. I don't like the Ravi and Chelsea coupling. With the possible exception of Ash, the Panesar family is comprised of snakes in the grass. But I'll enjoy the steamy love scenes until Ravi ends up dead this Christmas. The nicer the nice, the higher the price. So I mean, that one, Rob?
Well, I mean, I know you don't agree because of the Ravi and Chelsea coupling criticism. But I do see what you mean. The fact that it's going to make for interesting viewing, because I really do think this puts Ravi in a lot of danger for Christmas. I think at this stage, I do think it would be a mistake for Ravi to die this Christmas, because I think as time goes on, he's getting to be a very interesting character with a lot of different layers to him. You know, his relationship with Nugget is interesting to watch. His nasty side is interesting to watch. And let's be honest, when you've got the likes of Phil Mitchell wandering around the square for 30 years, you can keep someone like Ravi around, for God's sake. So I think there's a lot to, and I think Nish seems to have more of a shelf life than Ravi. Ravi definitely is a contender for Christmas Day, but I feel like it would be a mistake at this point. But we have a long way to go. We're only in July, so we have a long way to go. But the Ravi and Chelsea coupling thing, I mean, Zara Abraham is a lucky girl. That's all I can say. Very, very lucky girl. Matthew Lawrence says, loving EastEnders at the moment, however, slightly struggling with the Theo storyline. It was a brilliant twist last night, and I'm sure as a villain he will be amazing. The only thing I struggle with is the fact no one is listening to Martin. Martin also could have gone to Theo's current workplace to investigate his concerns. So some small flaws in the story so far. Now, the thing about that is, Theo, I keep calling him Leo because, stalker psychic Whitney. Okay, Leo walked so Leo walked so Theo could sniff.
Oh my god.
The thing about that is that Theo would have been able to kind of put himself, like, all he did was have a bad relationship at school, and he could come up with anything because there's apparently quite a distance between his Essex school and the school he teaches at now, where Lily's at. Presumably he teaches at Walford High now, doesn't he? So I think there's
they may not have it on record. If he left before the investigation started, then why would there be anything on record? He left before they could investigate it further, potentially. As far as we know.
So is it Walford High he teaches at? I don't know if he does, actually.
I would assume so, if that's where Lily... Well, he's a supply teacher as well,
so
they might not even have any of that information.
Exactly, so even more difficult to find sort of evidence for. But yeah, I understand. I agree in the fact that it is frustrating that Martin is the only one that's sort of seeing stuff at the moment, but that's the sort of storyline it is. That's sort of how these sort of villain storylines have to kind of begin, isn't it? Where no one sees what's going on apart from maybe one character. But he's got Whitney on his side, though, hasn't he? So Whitney and Lily are quite close. So I wonder if Whitney will become a little bit more involved somewhere along the line
possibly,
as well.
Otherwise, why involve her? But again, maybe if she goes, well, it's obvious that he's not grooming Lily. She might not think anything of it either. Who knows?
No, I mean, I did enjoy Martin going, right, I need advice on perverts. I must go to Whitney. Whitney, I need your help.
She did comment on that as well. She's like, you knew what I was going to say, so what?
What am I, just perverts are us?
What did you think I was going to say? Yeah.
Bless her. Go on, next comment.
I've got one from Ruth Watt, who says, the scene with Patrick and Jack in the pub was lovely. Not saying I enjoyed watching Jack cry, but it's good to see the current team being unafraid of emotion and reaction. Watching Jack in the 2009 episodes currently with On Again, Off Again with Ronnie and Roxy. Nice to see the character development from those days.
Yeah, actually, I mean, Jack is I watched the 2008, 2009 stuff on iPlayer, and Jack is very prevalent character in that. Yeah, he's actually a real kind of big player in those days, isn't he? Like Jack doesn't do quite as much. He's got now obviously since the Clenners era, he's kind of had quite a bit more to do. But he was quiet for quite a long time, wasn't he, Jack? So yeah, it's interesting to sort of see Jack as a bit more of a main player again. I mean, he's always sort of had these sorts of like love storylines, but yeah, he has moved on a lot, I think, since the Ronnie and Roxy days. So yeah, that's interesting.
And I think men tend to soften in age as well, so it's kind of fitting in a way. Yeah,
absolutely. And finally, we have an email from Claire Radigan who says, "How could Stacey be so gullible about Theo? Has she never heard of the Me Too movement? We learned that sexual abuse survivors should be believed. It was her word against mine from Theo is a common excuse. I think Stacey is so strapped for money that her judgment is compromised. Credit for Martin for being suspicious. Rob, you called it. The mysterious Edmund is really Theo. Best regards, Claire from New Jersey." Just saying.
Just boost Rob's ego somehow.
Claire's got me back.
That's exactly what he needed.
Claire knows a genius when she sees one. That's all I can say. So thank you very much for all those comments. You can get in touch with us as well via any of our social media outlets by doing the following.
You can find us on Facebook on Albert Square After Dark, on Twitter and Instagram at E20 After Dark. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can listen to us on Apple and all your favourite podcast sites. Email us at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com and leave us a review if you'd like to. Preferably a nice one.
Well, it doesn't even have to be a nice one, because honestly, the bad one,
whatever your honest thoughts are.
Yeah, honestly, the bad ones make us laugh.
That's true.
And also, Ree, I'm telling you now, we might have to add something to that spiel at the end soon, because Threads now exists. So we might need to start a Threads account soon.
You were telling me about this. I've not heard of it.
Ree had never heard of it. Right?
No. A bubble. Been in a bubble. Poorly bubble this week.
Yeah. But yeah, Threads might have to start being a thing soon, so we might have to start looking into that. So we might have to add another line onto your spiel at the end there, but we'll see. We'll see what has to happen. Right then, Ree, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening, and we will be back same time next week. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
Bye from me.
Bye. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.